Hello aspirants, welcome back to the daily news analysis of the Hindu. This is a free initiative brought to you by Transform IAS Academy. In this video session, we shall be looking into the articles which shall be extremely important for the civil service exam, especially for the prelims and mains. So let's begin with our discussion for 1st of January 2019, and before we could start up, wish you all a very happy new year and let this new year bring a lot of prosperous and also success to you all. So under the front page, we have this news which talks on the 30 lakh reapply for the inclusion in NRC. So this is a news which has been repeatedly there from the month of August and much before as well. So first and foremost, you should understand to why the NRC is in the news. That's a National Register for Citizens. So this is purely because of the final draft of the NRC, which was actually, it excluded nearly 40 lakh people from the list out of 3.3 crore applicants. So there was a final draft to what they have to prepare. Out of 3.3, 40 lakh people were totally been excluded. What is the main issue about this is that, so Assam is having a longest history when it comes to the migration from outside. So the issue of the Bengali speaking outsiders, both let's say it is whether the Hindus or the Muslims, the first from the East Pakistan, then the Bangladesh, and over the time a long standing problem for indigenous people of the state started emerging to be as a cause because of the immigration, where a huge loss of opportunity was being actually witnessed, and there was also change in democratic dimensions of every state of politics to what it had actually happened. So it was a high time that they wanted to use this tool which is called as an NRC, that's a National Register of Citizen, where they wanted to make use of the people where as a tool of the NRC, so that the indigenous people would get back their opportunities. What the migrations have been taking or immigration of the people is happening in Assam can be controlled to some extent. So taking this into consideration, they started listing the Indian citizens in Assam. So when they did that, it was almost they wanted to weed out all the illegal migrations from the Bangladesh or any neighboring countries for that matter. So this was this to some extent it became failed because they were not able to register the required people, and illegal migrants were also being a part of it. So that is one of the reason they had to take the first report prepared, which was back in 1951. They had to do a scrolling of it, and over the time they were able to ensure that the people out of 3.3 crores amount of the people would be taken into consideration. But there if you see, like nearly 40,000, that is 40 lakh people were actually being excluded from the NRC. So now the situation is that now out of that 10 lakh people have got included, wherein about 30 of the 40.07 lakh people are still being left out of the final draft of the updated NRC. So this is what you have to know. So out of the 40 is what we wanted to include them, but out of that again 30 lakh people are being excluded. And even if you see the last week also we were talking with respect to the extension of this particular deadline, which has been given to the June month. So this is a further extension which is the government which has given till 2019. So here you have the details with respect to from when to when what all the extension has given. So you need not worry about the dates and the years to when the extension has been given, but just try to understand what is this all about. So what are they been up to? So here what they have to, the other applicants, what they mentioned was that it was a sort of an clause where they actually removed off by the SOP, that is standard operating procedure, which issued by the center, so that they were able to increase the number of the applicants into the systems of the NRC. If they have not taken this clause, then it would have been a far lesser number which had actually been added to the NRC. So, and they also said that few others were been hit very badly with respect to the use of fresh legacy, because here it is the applicant who would be not able to change the person from whom they actually drawn their ancestry in the original applications. They would not be able, so they were been rejected from the time of the complete draft itself. So and apart from that, this is one time, which means that the fresh legacy was not been able to claim, so that was the reason why the 30 lakh people, few of them have been left out. The second reason being is that, so there were certain cases of the illiterate people. So these illiterate people were purely dependent on the NRC Seva Kendras, or let's say it's a cyber cafe operators. So they were not having any proper aspects, or they used to have the same legacy person whom they used to show it earlierly, and few of the cases was filled up with fraudulent. So taking all these into consideration, they are saying that still 30 lakh people have been hit by the things to what we just discussed, and that's the reason to why the government is also given an extension till another 6 months till June 2019. And this is all about to what you have to know. Till June 2019 we have a relaxation to understand, when you will be again getting further few kinds of informations to what is the movements happening. So since it is already a repeated news to what we would be seeing, so whenever you go through, just take up those extraction and start making a note of it. So you don't have to redo everything from first to whenever these kinds of an actual episodes of the informations which is actually being tackled off here. So you can just do a selective and extract the points alone, that would be more than sufficient. So this is all about it. And again we have here which talks on the government rejects the demand to send a triple talaq bill to the House panel. So this is purely the government. We know that even the triple talaq bill which has been repeatedly there in the news, so Lok Sabha has been passed in, but now it's a time where it has to move on to Rajya Sabha. So now the Rajya Sabha where it is actually demanding, so the government actually rejected the opposition where they demanded in the Rajya Sabha, where it is purely with respect to the contentious Muslim women protection of rights of marriage bill 2018. So the main thing why the government rejected it was because they wanted this to be sent on to the Joint Select Committee for further security. So any which ways this was not a welcome move, and they didn't like it, and that was the reason to why the government has been rejected. So as I said y'all, this has been a very important part of GS paper 2 of triple talaq bill, which is repeatedly there, and here the reasons to why they have been rejected we have dealt it in the earlier videos, and this is again an extraction of the point to what you have to look on for. So basically both of them are extractions to what you have to do. That's about it. Under page 5 we have this, the plea to defer the Hyderabad High Court Division. So again this is a news which was repeatedly there. So this is basically with the Andhra Pradesh which has been divided into Telangana and Andhra Pradesh right now. So it was been in 2014 where the bifurcation happened, and if you see on December 26 we also did a video which was talking with respect to where there are notification which is being given, where from the 1st of Jan, that is from today, there would be a separate high courts for Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So that being for Amravati and Telangana high courts would be divided. So on limelight of it, now the Andhra Pradesh High Court Advocates Association in Hyderabad, they have actually moved a petition in the Supreme Court, and that petition where they wanted to defer the implementation of the notification to what the Supreme Court had given by December 26. So here they wanted to, actually the notification was all about bifurcating the Hyderabad High Court into a Andhra Pradesh and Telangana High Court. So here this is a issue, and why have they come up with this petition is because here the Hyderabad's, that is the Amravati capital where they use it as an Andhra Pradesh High Court, it's still not ready. The new premises has not been ready, and they tell that they don't have a sufficient infrastructure to get kick-started. On limelight of this is what they have now moved on to the Supreme Court to file a petition, and they're stating that they don't have a proper infrastructure to get kick-started. So basically they need to start it from today, that is of Jan 1st 2019. So this petition would actually be heard by Supreme Court on Jan 2nd, that is tomorrow. So this is again a continuation news, so one should know about it, or what is the practical challenges that the courts would actually face it, and if it is a point of infrastructure, what is the move they would be actually doing. So this is about it. So apart from that, the others all is minute information, we can skip that, that's not relevant for us. So under page 7 we have this, the ASI declared 6 monuments of national importance in 2018. So if you see, the present news is that the Archaeological Survey of India has actually declared 6 monuments of the national importance in 2018. So this is purely according to the Ancient Monuments and the Archaeological Sites and the Remains Act of 1950, which says that the ancient monument is the means of any structure or any erection or a monument or any tumulus or a place of interment, or it might be a cave or a rock sculpture or an inscription or a monolithic which is of having an historical or a artistic interest, and this should be an existence of not less than 100 years. So these kinds of features which is not less than 100 years would be the one which would be included under the ASI of the 6 the national importance to what it can be actually saved. So as per the information, what is being said is that there are nearly 3,686 centrally protected monuments sites under the ASI. So this is purely in the country basis, and the number have now increased to almost like 3,693. wherein Uttar Pradesh alone has 745 monuments and Karnataka has 506 and Tamil Nadu has 413. So this becomes very important for us to understand to which of the states which has the highest number of the monuments which has been projected by the ASI. The first one being Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka and the Tamil Nadu. So this is about the basic information, and here this information should be purely available from the Ministry of the Culture, because there are about 321 of these centrally protected monuments sites which have been encroached upon. So on limelight of this, to whatever we understood from the past 2016 to 27, we didn't had any of the monument which actually been included in the national importance. The last one what was seen was in 2015, where the Vishnu temple in Nadavayal in Kerala, Wayanad district, was actually being taken into consideration as a national importance, and after that we didn't had anything of such. But now in 2018 there are 6 monuments which has been declared under the ASI as a national importance, and the 6th one would be like 125-year-old High Court building in Nagpur, Maharashtra, and the 2 is from the Mughal era monuments, that is of in Agra, that is the Haveli of Aga Khan and Hathi Khan. So these are the 3 one which has been actually witnessed and would be declared, and the other 3 is the Nimrana Bori of Rajasthan Alwar district, and then comes a group of temples at the Ranipur Jarel which is in Odisha, wherein the 6th one is the Vishnu temple in Kotali. So this is purely in Uttarakhand. So these are the 6 monuments which is now being presently listed under the ASI, so that even this becomes a protected of national importance of 2018. So this is purely a part of your art and culture, and since they have been taking 2 of them would be from the Mughal era monuments, I would like to request you all to go through about the Mughal era monuments a little more deeper, so that you will be able to understand much better, because this has been almost after 2 years is what again the listing of the monuments which has been taken place. So this is about it, a minute one which is a very important one for your art and culture. And here we have the home buyers fear the dilution of Real Estate Act. So this is basically which has been coming from the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, where now they are planning to get certain effect of changes to the RERA Act 2016, because they wanted to invoke the removal of the difficulties clause, because this has been the need for the parliamentary approval for a very long time, and there is also a window process which they wanted to get, and it's going to get ended up on May 1st of 2019. So the home buyers are actually being feared with the dilution that this particular act might pro-consumers provisions might be diluted. So on slew of these particular suggestions, there have been certain changes to what they have to do, and implement the implementation was making for 4 regional workshop which is actually led in the last 4 months. So there's a lot of workshop which has also been led in the regional wise. So this one would be giving up a proper understanding, and moreover you should also understand that here the consumer and the home buyer would be federations, and they would be also the builder and the real estate groups. They had to be participated in the workshop, because these are the actual papers who would be involved under this particular part. So this would actually be compiled with the suggestions, and they would be able to do certain changes which may be made through the revival of the difficulties clause. So this would be much more better, and moreover they would also set up a committee from where they would be meeting on January 3rd, that is day after tomorrow, so that they would be setting certain recommendation for the secretary and the minister for approval as well. So this is purely the section of the RERA we are talking about is 91, which gives the center the power where they can issue the orders to remove the difficulties in implementing any of the act. On limelight of this is what the issue is all about, and the concerns as of now is that to whatever the the former of the people's collective efforts, they have been set up to protect the home buyers, and also they give them the proper facilitation under the RERA implements the member of that particular panel, but they believe that the major amendments which would be purely for the removal of the difficulties order will be counterproductive. So they wanted to make the builders to be more demanding when it comes to any sort of an amendments which would purely help them in the definition that will actually change the very fabric of the act. So this is what the main thing is all about, and therefore the act was being passed with the help of the parliament, and also they received the president assent back in 2016. But now the fear is that there might be a dilution for this real estate act which came in 2016, because there are certain sections of 91 were not being notified as per the 2016. So as we discussed earlierly, this window for such kind of a process will be ending by 1st of May 2019, and here the government seems to be more arguing and they wanted to amend certain sections which would be notified in 2017 till May 2019. So this is what the main problem is right now, where the builders have demanded that they require a maximum period of extension for the project registration as well. So they would not behind the 12 months, so this would not be sufficient is what the builders actually wanting it from the government, that is the Ministry of Housing and the Urban Affairs. So the committee also would be set up. We need to know to what is the other things which would be happen. So this was one of the biggest move which had happened in 2016. So here you have the details about it, and this is all about it. So this news is purely which talks on the JPC clears its report on citizenship bill. So this is purely the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the Citizenship Amendment Bill 2016. So this bill was purely where they wanted to persecute all the minorities, where they wanted to bar any Muslims from Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. So these are the three important countries which is likely to be tabled in the report on Jan 7th, where they would be able to come up with a winter session, and the panel wanted to clear it without rejecting and all rejections of the amendments which have actually moved by the oppositions. So here the opposition is now planning that they wanted to come up with these dozen notes to the joint committee report, and they wanted to get a clear decks of legislation even before it becomes a reality. So here what is it all about is that here the resistance about the citizenship bill 2016 was purely from the Assam, and this was the resistance to the bill which was being done by the BJP ruled Assam, where they are actually saying that here the citizenship is mostly illegal Indo migrants and purely they have been coming from Bangladesh, and this has become which came to almost to Assam from, let's say, from 1971, and they have purely violated all kind of an agreements in the Assam Accord of 1985. So around that is what they are saying, that nearly, as we discussed in the front page, 40 lakh people in Assam have been excluded from the final draft of the National Register of Citizens, which were actually been published. So on limelight of it, and other information to what you have to know, where they are actually rejecting the amendment is actually the move which is also done by the Trinamool Congress MP. So here even they wanted to make certain legislation based on the religion and a country neutral. So here what they really want is that they wanted a bill where they should not have any of the limits to the 6 religions, and here they said that they wanted to instead get all the persons who lives in this country due to religious, linguistic, ethnic discrimination should not be an eligibility for the Indian citizenship. So this is what is a kinds of a demand toward the Trinamool Congress MP is actually been putting on, and this is one of the moves which is also like Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan should not be the only country which is being named, since they have a huge number of refugees which are also been coming from Sri Lanka and Myanmar. Because if you see, as per this bill, only 3 countries have been restricted, that is Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh. But what the point here they are saying is that it's not only that, they need to add even few more huge numbers of refugees who are being migrating from Sri Lanka and Myanmar as well. So this is one of it, and apart from that, you should also know that the committee which has also been cleared an amendment which it was being moved by the BJP led, where they are actually seeking, where they wanted to drop a legal proceedings wherever they actually do against the 6 prosecuted minorities. So if these amendments has been accepted, then the Bangladesh Hindus lodged would have been detained in the centers in Assam, so they would be facing the deportation, or they would be actually being declared to be as an illegal foreigners. So they also would be getting certain reliefs. So this is about the clarity to one should know about the JPC, that the Joint Parliamentary Committee which is actually clearing the reports on its citizenship bill. So this is again a continuation of the story to what we have already done it, and again this parts of your GS paper 2. So this becomes important. So you can just go through with this again. So under page 11 we have this, the offence committed in line of duty. So this is basically with respect to the offence. So we know that there was an acquittal of 22 accused persons in the Sohrabuddin case. So this is basically where we need to focus purely on the 4 aspects. First thing, you should know about the background of the story, that here there was a special CBI judge who was actually looking into the Sohrabuddin Sheikh fake encounter cases. So here they are saying that there was an acquittal of nearly 22 accused people. And this one was even ruled that even if the accused ones where purely the persons acted in excess of their official duty, and they were also been entitled to even claim the protection, and this claiming of protection was under the section 197. So this is purely where the prosecution of the judges and the public servants of the CRPC was being taken into consideration. So here the point is, how were they been able to entitled to claim for the protection under the section 197. Even before that, you should understand to what is this official duty, as they have been repeated in this particular para. So official duty is purely the accused, as they have been seen as a material in the charge sheet itself, but while certain act which they actually had to do, they discharged in their official duties. Secondly is that with respect to the killers, so it is a matter of regret that there is no sort of an reported killing of Sarabudin and also the Tulsiram Prajapati. So these were the people, and apart from that Kausarbai also was being there, and here they didn't had any of the punishments for who the people have been actually been called as an accused. But then the law does not even permit the court to even punish the accused on the basis of moral conviction as well, or basis on the suspicion alone. So when this was not being done, but the main important thing what this article highlights is about the CBI negligency, because they have been actually seeing the entire investigation to what the CBI did was purely targeted, where they wanted to act upon a script. So they wanted to achieve the goal that no one had actually implicated the political leaders. So this was actually a pre-planned script to what the CBI had actually done the investigation. So they had purely neglected the CBI, and there were no proper material part of the investigation which clearly indicates that they had hurriedly completed the investigation, that is the CBI. They have not taken the enough time to settle this particular case, or they have been done in a hurry and they have not given a proper kind of a material as well to the court. So this is again to what the observation is being done by the Judge A.S. Sharma. And third, the last one would being the evidence and the hostile witnesses. So the judge here, he also highlighted that the evidences were not up to the mark, and they were not able to withstand the judicial scrutiny of the court, because to whatever the occasions they were actually seeing the deposition of the witnesses before the court, their statements were completely wrong, and that is how they have been recorded in the CBI. So even the evidences and to whatever the witnesses that were been there, they were not up to the mark. The CBI negligence was to the highest, and the killers were not been actually been regretted, or they didn't have a moral conviction as well. The punishments also are not to an extent, and they also used the power which is on the official duty. So there is also an involvement of the section 197, which also gives them the claim protection, where they have been entitled for the protection, that's a prosecution of the judges and the public servants as well as per the CRPC. So this is all about it. So this is again the news which was being there repeatedly about the Sarabudin case, and this is about an observation to what has been listed out here. So how the acquittal actually happened. So this was a judgment of nearly 358 pages as well. So this is purely on those aspects. So you can understand to how would the officials or authorities, they might misuse the powers and still escape of the crimes to what these people have actually done, and how are the fake encounters being getting registered, and how we really need to stop them at any point of time. So this becomes an extreme coverages to what one should know when you're doing and getting into the administrations. So this is one thing. Again, that's repeated news. So world column, we didn't had much of the coverage. Again, we had the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasinas victory, as we already discussed. It is 299 out of that 288. So it's a clear majority to what this lady has been won. So they're saying that it's a dominant win. So that's all about it. Since it's a political issue, you can skip them, not an issue. So then comes the business column. We have the NPA ratios improve but are still high. So this is purely with respect to the report which has been coming from the RBI, which they are talking about the financial stability report. So as per the financial stability report, they are actually taking the consideration of two NPAs. One is a gross NPA, another one is the net NPA. So as per the gross NPA, that's a gross non-performing ratio of the commercial banks have actually been increased. So if you in sense improved, in sense we say that in the month of March it was 11.5%, in the month of September of the same year it is 10.8, and they are also stating that it might also see a further improvement with 10.3% as well. So this is one of the informations to what has been coming from the report of the RBI, which is called as the financial stability. By this we would be able to ascertain that there is a good recovery in the banking sector. So the load of recovery is happening good, and there is also signals of positivity when it comes to the banking sectors. So here when it comes to the net NPA, they are saying that it also fell from almost to 5.3% in September from 6.2%. Again, this is a positive kind of a signal which is being seen. So again, when we have to compare it between the state run and the private run, so the gross non-performing assets of the state run banks have improved to 14.8% with almost with 15.2% comparatively, but when it comes to the private sector bank, gross NPA has been fell from 4 to 3.8%. So whether it's a state run or a private, still the gross NPA is being under a improvement level itself. And again, when they have to do it on the asset quality improvements, then though there is an asset quality improvements, the loan loss ratio of the banks are also been increased to nearly like 51%. So when we have to talk on CAR, that's a capital adequacy ratio, the state run banks, they have actually been declined with almost like 11.7% to 11.13%. So this is about the decline of the CAR. And here you should know like what is the one which actually helped the banks to see these kinds of an improvement from 11.5% to 10.8, and nearly it's going to be 10.3% as well. So this is purely with respect to the restrictions what was being imposed on the 11 public sector banks. We know that the prompt corrective action was being attracted on the 11 public sector banks out of 21. So this has been the one which has actually helped in reducing the contagion losses, which is purely on the banking system and also on the lenders which had actually been failed. So here the banking sector is now with the disciplinary action toward the RBI, that's RBI taken on the PCA homework, is actually started seeing some results. So these were also there, and the governor Mr. Shantikantan Das, he also made an acknowledgement that he also referred certain cases which was purely for the resolution under the bankruptcy framework, where they are saying that they had a time lag. So whatever has been added under the IBC, actually it needs to strengthen the credit discipline at a higher end. So time bound resolution is being impaired as such is what they have to look on. Unclogging credit pipelines is thus they have to make it more of allocative efficiency in the economy part as well. And Mr. Das also said that the shift in the credit intermediation from the banks to the non-banks has actually given a corporate sector a diverse choice. So this is purely where the finance instrument had been added to the non-banking functions, that's a companies NBFCs, where they need to be more prudent in taking up with the risk taking. So this is one of the shift to what Mr. Das has been highlighted, and this might be taking more prudent on the risk taking as well. So what is that they have to do, and they have to really know about the high credit growth, which is not a stability enhancing. And on economic growth, they wanted to slow down the GDP, and the GDP growth has also been with respect to 7.1%, which is almost lower than expected. So this is something, and they wanted to upstick the gross fixed capital formation, and they wanted to work on well, and this was purely with respect to the dip in the crude oil prices. So even this we know that repeatedly we have been seeing that even if you have a kind of an increase in GDP or the appreciation in the rupee values, purely because there was a fall in the crude oil prices, and this was one of the positive move for a sustained growth signal which was going forward. So this is about the aspects. So this is what Mr. the financial stability report of the RBI had to state with respect to what's happening with the GNP and also with the NNPA of India. So whatever we discussed out here, you have it in this particular column, so you can just look it onto it. And again here we have the news which talks on the RBI reserves ratio among the highest. So this is with respect to the RBI reserves, and this one is being with kind of a report from the consultancy firm Quantum Advisory found. So this is the one which has actually done a comparison with 10 economies, which is actually showing that the RBI reserves of India has the highest percentage. So that is after Russia and South Africa. So if you see here the chart, we are actually standing under the third position. So USA has the reserves of just 0.2%, Brazil with 0.2% again, wherein the UK with 0.6, China with 1.7, EU with 5.3, Indonesia with 13.7, Turkey with 14.9, wherein India with 26.2 and South Africa with 27.6 and 28.6 is Russia. So we are just like 2 points lesser compared to Russia and Africa. So we stand at 26.2. So that is what they are saying, that when comparatively to whatever the reserves the RBI has been having, it is the highest compared to all other 10 economies which is actually having the reserves. So here what they have to and what they are trying to confirm it is that the bulk of the reserves to what is been there. So this is purely the value that had been unlocked when the underlying assets have been sold. So this is something of the national, right? This is on the national reserves to what we have. They would not be able to just trespass it the way they wanted. So whenever they wanted to value, that can be unlocked when the underlying assets are actually being sold. So here what the finance minister wanted to make it clear is that here they don't want to have the RBI's surplus, rather they wanted to manage the fiscal deficit. So they were not targeting on the RBI reserves, but just that they were targeting only on the fiscal deficit where they wanted to get it down. So again they were actually doing a comparison on the BRICS country. You should also know that India has also been a part of BRICS, and I stands for India. So the other countries is actually Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Comparatively is what they are saying, like what is the stand of India as compared to the BRICS countries. So if you see here, the BRICS countries, the fragile 5 nations, only 3 have been having a developed economies. Out of that, the Reserve Bank of India alone has, that is of India alone has rupees 10.5 lakh crores. So this is accounting for 26.2% of its balance sheet. So after that, it is only central banks of South Africa and Russia are actually been with the highest. So the top 3 is a BRICS nation which has a highest reserve, and the other 2 is obviously China and Brazil. You can see here they are very minute in nature. So this is respectively to what they actually been stating. So here what they are saying is about the revaluation of the assets. So what they are saying here, the bulk of these reserves to whatever we are talking are purely which has been raised to the revaluation of the assets. And this revaluation over the years of the rupee depreciated, which has actually happened against the US, or let's say the dollars of the US or the pound or euro, etc. So the gold and foreign assets, whenever they have been held in the RBI, they are actually been translated into the current rupee value. When they do that is what you can see, which actually leads to the increase in its asset value, because most of it is that's how it's been done. And this is what they are saying, that so whatever the asset calculation these people are doing is based on the revaluation of the assets to what the rupee depreciated had actually occurred with the US dollars or to the euro, the pound, to whatever it is, to whenever they converted to be as a gold and foreign reserves, then is what there is an increase in the asset value. So an example also has been quoted out here. So if they are saying that the 100 billion invested in 2010 at the USD INR of rupees 45, so it has been valued today to be as INR 70. So which is showing that here it is a valuation gain when reported in INR terms. From 45 to 70, it is purely a valuation gain. So this is all that they would be talking, and they are saying that all such gains are non-cash. They are not of cash, they are notional, and they are also having shown an higher asset values and the revaluation reserves on the liabilities sides. So this is what is a fact that you have to understand. Apart from the fact what has been shown here, you need to know about the how is the actual calculation they do when it comes to the revaluation of the assets. So this is all about it. And down here we have, which is on to the core sector growth slows to 16-month low in November. So here if you just look on to this particular chart would be more than sufficient. That is what they are actually giving in terms of words. So one important thing to what you have to know is the 8 core sector, that is a coal, cement, steel, crude oil, natural gas, refinery products, fertilizer and electricity. So these are the sectors to one should know, and here you have the month of November 2018 and October 2018. So this shows the difference. So here in the October it was 11.3 and now it has been with 3.7%. So the growth has actually been slow to 16-month low in November. So that is what they are showing, and this is a comparison to what they have actually been shown. So that's it. So you have to memorize all these 8. They are extremely important and they play a very important role in GS paper 3, and in preliminary exam there was a direct question on understanding to which of the following actually been added up to the core sector of the industry, IIP. right? So you should know all the 8 of them in detail. So that's about it, but you don't have to memorize when it comes to the percentage level which is actually being shown out here. You can skip this, but try to know about this 8, right? So this was all about it. So under the life column, we had this news which talks on the spaceship zooms towards the distant mysteries world. So this is basically with respect to the NASA's spaceship, which is actually getting zoomed towards the farthest, and it is also the quite possible the oldest cosmic body which has been photographed by the humankind. For the first time we are going to get with a photograph of this oldest cosmic body, where the NASA spaceship is actually zooming into it, and this is the distant world which is called as an Ultima Thule, which is 6.4 billion kilometers away. So they also call this to be as a mysterious object which is to be in the dark and the frigid region, and that region is nothing but which is called as in Kuiper belt. So Kuiper belt actually comes between the 4 inner planets and outer planets. In between that you would be having the Kuiper belt. So this is what they are actually been talking, and this is almost like 6.4 billion kilometers away. So this is about the basic thing to what you have to know, and here this is about the basic information, but here the real time video, if we have to if we have to get them, it is impossible because it requires almost 6 hours to receive a signal, in sense to to send it, and also to get a response to it, again it will take us 6 hours. So this is something which is impossible to get a real time video. So here we have to just go with the images which would be sent by this particular end of the day. So this time they catch up with a image of this particular Ultima, so that by the end of the day you would be getting a kinds of an images. So now sending a kind of an response and getting the sending would definitely not be a workable situation. So this is something you have to know, and this was actually been discovered in 2014. This was purely with the help of the Hubble Space Telescope. So this was being believed to be like 20-30 kilometer in size. So this is about the Hubble Space Telescope to what has been seen. And if you have to get more of the detailed images, then it should be studied with a New Horizon, where this is after the spaceship. This was almost launched in 2006. And this mission was purely where they wanted to do it when it comes to Pluto in 2015, and they wanted to return it to the detailed images where they wanted to do it with a draft planet. So the closest approach we are going to try is purely where they wanted to do it on the Ultima at the 3 times where they are going to get a realistic resolution compared to the Pluto. Pluto was not of that of the high resolution, but this one is going to be 3 times the resolution that is going to be captured when compared to the Plutos. So this is about it, and these are the basic things to one should know. So once we get the image of it, again you will be getting a detailed information tomorrow. So that we can take care of tomorrow. So this is about it. So basically a space ship zooms where it is being towards the distant mysterious world. That's it. And those were not of prominent of UPSC level. So that's it. By this we have come to an end of the video. So these were the important articles for the day. Hope this particular video would have helped you in your preparation. So make a resolution which you would be actually able to follow it, and just set all your resolution to whatever you're going to take it on to this particular new year where your goals will come true. And wishing you all a very happy new year again, once again, and moreover do your hard work, and that hard work should be with the smart work. So chase your dreams till you accomplish it. Thank you, and have a very nice day.